was just a tougher and sensitive business back then. Much tougher than it is now.
Harley, when you first wrestled here as NWA champion against Ric Flair, you were the heavyweight champion that didn't want to come to the area because the wrestlers here in the Mid-Atlantic were so tough, and Rick was the loudmouth blonde braggart who most people hated. So I'm curious about what that was like to wrestle.
Well, that's what from that. See, that's a misconception. I traveled with Harley because I wasn't wrestling. Harley was wrestling Paul Jones and Wahoo and everybody else but me. That's how we got to become such good friends. We could travel together. We weren't wrestling each other. We were the two bad guys that were driving around. And but that's where we got to really spend time together. If I'd been wrestling against him, I would have never had a relationship I have now. That was afterwards.
He's right. Him and I got to be very, very good friends before we started the title thing back and forth. We traveled a lot together, and then when I came in here as champion, putting us together much later on into the thing was probably the thing that made it work the best. People really wanted to see this guy become world's champion. And I think they were extremely disappointed when it became time for him not to be. This guy entertained billions of people worldwide. He came in a near that we were still wrestling 7 nights a week everywhere in the world. He stepped right up and took that ball and ran on with it and did everything that I did and more. Because by the time I was there and running with it, he was still a young man. And when he got that, it was all wide open to him. He had a bar set that he couldn't go lower than, and he knew that. And he knew how high that bar was. He didn't back up from it. He ran right at it. And still today he's running at it. This is probably the greatest thing that's ever walked into what we refer to as a square circle. I mean,
thank you.
How does that make you feel, Rick?
what you just saw happening here and the way you guys responded to it around the world, that's how they respect that man. And as they should.